Oh God, now we're hardly nepotistic, yaar. We worked for 23 years. Isme nepotism ki kya baat hai?
Taimur, who is probably India's biggest celebrity, became a star from day one.
Why?
I couldn't have asked for it, obviously.
But why? What reason? There's no reason. I don't want to do stardom anymore.
Oh, really?
I want to do what I want to do.
Hello and welcome to Sit with Hitlist, our completely unscripted, unedited podcast and print series. My name is Mayank Shekhar. With me is actor Kareena Kapoor.
Hi.
Kareena, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Pleasure.
You know, I have to say, we don't do any long introductions because in your case especially, you seem to reintroduce yourself all the time. You know, I have to say, for those who are watching this, regardless of when you do, this conversation taking place about a week before Jaane Jaan drops on Netflix, which is Kareena's OTT debut. And man, you are looking different. You're looking different, obviously, on screen.
Yeah.
A very tight crime fiction.
I think so.
Very vulnerable is really what your character is.
Yeah.
How different was it for you to be getting into something like this?
You know, I personally love watching crime thrillers. I have watched all of Harlan Cobain's, all the books that, you know, were made into the shows on Netflix. I've watched all of it. I basically, when I'm binge watching at home, I'm binge watching the crime thrillers because that's the genre I like. So always when I thought that if I, you know, come on a streaming platform, it should be in a genre, in a film that I would like to see myself, you know.
So now it's not about box office anymore. It's something that you really want to do.
Yeah, I think now, of course, now I'm in box office is always the case where I'm trying to, the big ticket films will be there.
Yeah.
But this was something that I think was very different. Never worked with Sujoy, never worked with Jaideep and Vijay. And the energies when you work with people like that is different.
Yeah, so how's that different in the sense that you're rubbing energies with someone like a Jaideep Alawat or a Vijay Varma? These are stars, all right, but they're stars from another sky, na?
Yeah,
it's
they
a different scene, right? Like, what is it for you when you're like, riffing off these people?
It's refreshing.
Okay.
Because I feel like I got to learn so much just looking at them. Because their modus operandi is only different.
For instance, how is it different? How are these two different from, say, a Salman Khan? When you work with Salman on a bodyguard, or you work with him on a Mr. or Mrs. Khanna, or a Bajrangi Bhaijaan for that matter. Yeah. How is it different? Like, how is it different between, say, Salman or a Jaideep Alawat?
I don't know. I think, you know, Salman obviously is like, you know, he always relies on his persona, his personality, his super duper stardom. He's confident to another level. It's not like he's not aware. He is always, he's kind of like always a bit like, like he's not listening or he's kind of like sleeping or whatever. He is listening to everything.
He's pretending, He's pretending being cool.
Sharp as a knife. But whereas Jaideep is, you know, he's sincere, he's constantly thinking about his character. Even when he's on set, he's a little quiet.
So when you get on a Salman set, for instance, right? Personally for you, would you just just riff off that energy, which is chill, and we'll do what happens?
I think so. I'm like that.
Whereas you'll come prepared far more for something like a Jaane Jaan?
I think so.
Is that what happened?
I think so, because I think in certain films you require a certain persona, and in certain films
you don't.
You require a little bit of focus, character. Like Maya is a character. It's somebody that, you know, like, you don't know what she's kind of thinking, you know. So I have to always be on my toes,
right?
You know, when I'm playing that.
Right.
So that was a challenge. And now, Mayank, it's about, I want that challenge. I want to dig deeper, dive a little deeper, you know. I don't want to do stardom anymore.
Oh, really?
I want to do what I want to do. I want to, you know, like get into that character, get into that role. That's why Jaane Jaan, Buckingham Murders, it's releasing at BFI.
Is it true that you watched Mayor of Easttown and told yourself, hey, I want to be Kate Winslet, and that's how Buckingham Murders happened?
I mean, the timing was such that, I watched that show 6 times because I thought...
6 times, huh?
She's spectacular. She's just like...
So you
biggest
knew that's
girl
what you want to
crush,
do.
yeah, ever, you know. And just the way she played it. And then Hansal came and he had this story and he sent me a 25-pager and I was reading it. It was about 1 a.m. at night. And, you know, I was like, okay, fine. And my manager, Poonam, was like, you know, read it because, you know, Hansal Mehta's offered this film and, you know. So I was like, and I wasn't finding anything interesting at that time. Maybe I was just bored. I don't know. And so I said, okay, fine, let me just see. You know, so I just PDF'd it, downloaded it and just, you know. I was like, abhi dekhte ye kya hoga, kind of wala.
So was it already something like Mare of Easttown?
It was a mother and it was a detective. And I hadn't obviously done that. And I read that 25-pager and I went crazy. And I was like, I'll do whatever it takes. Even if I have to.
At some level.
Yeah, I think so. And even if I have to produce this movie or do whatever, but I want to do it.
And you produced it?
And I produced it with Hansal and Ekta. And it's got selected at the British Film Festival. It's an English film. It's 80% English, 20% Hindi. So it's different. That's what I'm saying. That I don't want to do Stardom anymore. I want to do...
It's interesting you say that because, you know, back in the day, I think it was around 2012, when you did a movie like Heroine.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember an interview of yours, we said, boss, this is too intense for me and I don't want to get into these intense parts. What did you mean by that? What had happened that made you...
I think maybe the film didn't work in a way, so it kind of, you know, I'm such an emotional person. I'm also a person that is very like, I'm affected. So if I'm affected at something, I just show it, you know, and I think that was what happened with Heroine. Because I really worked hard on the film and I wanted it to be, you know, everyone was winning national awards for Madhur's film. And, you know, somewhere we went wrong. But I still feel that it was like one of my amazing performances. So I think it was maybe that.
Like, itna matlab काम किया और फिर कुछ मिला नहीं तो क्या point क्या है? May as well dance in Bodyguard.
Yeah.
Right?
But then I obviously also had to strike that balance. Like, I have to do the commercial, I had to do all of that. And I liked doing that.
Right.
But now obviously it's a different time in cinema also, I think, right? I mean, with the whole OTT outbreak, there's, you know, like you said, stars from a different galaxy that are coming, you know, and they're like top level actors here.
Right.
They're playing a different game.
You have to up your game as well.
Yeah. And I want to be kept on my toes now. We don't want to get comfortable and like, you know, just whatever.
I mean, speaking of debacle though, and I have to say this, it's one of my favorite films from last year, Laal Singh Chaddha, right? And I know for a fact that you guys worked really hard.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was a very, very long schedule, ran into months and months.
Yeah, years. COVID
right? Yeah, and Amit was literally staying in Ladakh. I know I visited once and it's like, ye 6 minutes se yahi pe hai. Right? What do you think went wrong with that film from an audience perspective? It was a very sweet film.
I think so. It was warm.
You had a very warm message, a very sweet film. Did you guys do a post-mortem? Because that's a lot of effort, again, that went into making that movie, right?
Of course. I mean, Amir was like living that character. He had become Laal. I don't know. I think maybe it was just people had, you know, COVID had just happened and everything was slowly opening up and people maybe wanted something more energetic and fun rather than it was slightly emotional and...
Art house, you think?
No, I wouldn't say art house. I would say that maybe they wanted like, because there were these big names attached to it, like Amir and me, they must have thought that they wanted something more...
Frothy.
Yeah, coming out of this time. And it was, I think, slightly dark.
I'm curious to know, like, when something like this happens and everyone's put in so much, the movie's there in the theaters, people aren't going to watch it. Do you guys sit down and discuss, like, almost like not necessarily a post-mortem, or do you sit and mourn, or do you sit and analyze? What happens? What did you do after Laal Singh Chaddha vis-a-vis Amir? Did you guys meet after?
You know, I was actually, after the film, I was busy. I gave birth. I had another child in COVID. So I was very... Like, it was just like...
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it was like there was so much going on, you know, at that time. So I never really met Amir after the film. But then obviously after that I bumped into him at the NMACC event. And I know, I saw it in his eyes that he was a bit like apologetic, yet he was like sad about the fact that, you know, why did this happen? And also we've also done such great work together. Yeah. With a big blockbuster like 3 Idiots, Talash.
Yeah, massive.
So somewhere there was that feeling, but like I said, I mean, I wrote to Advait as well as Amir that I don't judge, relationships, friendships, or our talent as actors with a film that didn't work. I'm like, for me, Rupa will always be an iconic character, which I played because she was slightly dark. And he was also worried about that. He was like, zyada dark to nahi ho jayega character. And I was like, nahi, theek hai, it's fine. That arc, we have to show it. So I just kind of told him on a long WhatsApp that, don't feel that we've lost, because we haven't lost. I mean, we made a beautiful film, and our friendship and our love is not measured on box office success.
Right, and you guys have worked together for years now.
Yeah.
Which is true with you and the three Khans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the third, of course, being Shah Rukh Khan. And I started with how, say, Salman is different from Jaideep. But given that you work so closely with both Salman and Amir and Shah Rukh, how different are they? If you can tell me from a story about if you were working with Amir, how would he be different on a set in a film from, say, a Shah Rukh?
Amir is very focused. Amir is he just becomes that character, and then he just
obsessed.
हाँ, वो obsessed हो जाता है, वो काम के बारे में ही सोचता है. Then he just wants to live with those people, that talking about that, doing that, and that's his personality. That's also, that's him, and we love Amir Khan for that. I mean, I'm a huge Amir fan.
Yeah. So is he unnerving, say, if you're working with him? Yeah,
I mean, he can get. I tell him, I'm like, yaar, Amir, kitna, that's too much. वो obsessive हो जाता है कि वो, it becomes borderline कि, we can't do anything else. That situation.
Like you can't make a dinner plan, or you can't chill after the day's work.
No. But coming to
Shah.
The Shah of, I think cinema in general. I mean, the emperor, the conqueror, everything that people are calling him, I think is less when you talk about Shah Rukh. Because he's made of something else. I don't know. He's made of a special cloth that nobody's made of.
So he's not taking himself too seriously about the character while he's on shoot?
Shah Rukh is just making it for that film. He's working towards each and every person on that set, not just his character. He's working for that light man who's standing on that tadapa. He's doing that. He's bothered about that. He's something else. But he's also kind, and he's concerned, and he'll be he's just doing everything at the same time, and I don't know how he does it. And it's just...
He's a multitasker as against Amir, who would be focused on one thing.
Yeah, but he multitasker, but he's making you feel so comfortable. I mean, he's the biggest star India has ever seen. I mean, I think after Jawan, and you never feel that when you're with Shah Rukh. It's just unbelievable. He just has this amazing knack, and that he just does it. That you're standing in front of the biggest star, and he's always been that. I mean, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you've worked with him since 2001. Ashoka is the film that you did with him. You were a kid almost.
And it was such. I mean, I'll always remember.
How did you land that role? I mean, how did you? Because that was that big thing that he was making.
Yeah.
It was
his first production.
His first production.
Yeah,
yes.
his first home production. And and he was just absolutely amazing, but he had that vision, Mayank. He just had that vision of that, just something that he always is ahead. He's just he's 20 years ahead of his time. He's 20 years ahead of his time, because he thought, VFX, set up that studio. He knew that cinema is going to change. It's all going to come together. Because even Ashoka was such a brave film to make so early on. The way he mounted the film.
Looking at an international market with
one of the few that went to Venice Film Festival. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just the mind. But I mean, he doesn't make you feel that somehow. That he's multitasking, or he doesn't make you feel the pressure of his stardom. Nothing. So they're very different.
I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here, but I have to admit that my favorite superstar Khan, in terms of purely as an actor, is Saif.
Yeah.
There's a coolness about him which is impossible to match by any Indian actor that I know.
Absolutely.
As his life partner, as someone who's known him for many, many years, do you think it's a bummer that when you guys worked together, those films didn't work? Like, say, Tashan.
Tashan. I think Tashan is a very cool. I think it is.
Yeah.
The songs, the characters, I think amazingly cult, yeah. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, it is.
And Kurban, of course.
Kurban. Agent Vinod,
yeah.
I mean, even Saif, I mean, Agent Vinod is such a cool film to make. I mean, you know, that kind of like a desi but yet cool bond. You know, I mean, there was something, but it was an intelligent kind of, you know, bond. But yeah, I mean, it is upsetting because I tell him even now that I really want to work with Saif because I think he's one of the finest artists, if I may say, because he is an artist. He'll like, you know, do a Laal Kaptan. He'll like, you know, play a different part each time.
Yeah, you could do a Being Cyrus, an English film.
Absolutely.
At the time when there was no OTT. There was an OTT film before OTTs came to India.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, he kind of, I want to work with him. I tell him even that. So he's like, listen, in a film, I need to be the best. If I'm working with someone that I love, he's like, I don't know how it's going to go, you know? So he's like, because I love you so much that I want you to be the best. So I'm like, but then,
Interesting thought, na?
Yeah.
You know, we had Karan Johar on this series right before you, and he said something to the effect of how chemistry between the male and the female actors, especially in terms of romance, that was the context, of course, is best when they're actually friends. When they're together, they're so comfortable that they need to hide their comfort. Did you ever feel that?
There is definitely some sort of chemistry if you're making a romantic film. The two people who kind of, you know, don't know each other and meet on the set. I mean, then you have that slight uncomfortableness and then you start liking each other from disliking maybe. So you capture those moments.
Right.
But I think an actor is an actor. I mean, you have to, I mean, you know.
You don't play yourself anyway.
Yeah. So you have to like put on that part.
Right.
And just do it. And chemistry, I mean, I don't know. People say na कि ये इसके साथ looks the best. I don't know what is the meaning of that.
It's probably the parts, na? What was written.
Yeah. I mean, you liked Shahid and me on screen in Jab We Met because of Geet and Aditya's character, not because of anything else. It was the character that you fell in love with. What is written and how you do it. So it's chemistry is also in the way it's written.
True. It's interesting. We're making all these hardcore conversations about Mayor of East Town and how you don't want to dig deep. But you really became the star with what you're wearing right now, isn't it? It's the Pooh, right?
Yeah.
And would that be your breakout performance in terms of the world knowing you right away? Like, boss, I want to be this person, like a pop culture moment, so to say?
I mean, it has to be, of course, that. But I mean, it was the big blockbuster because you had never, like you said, pop culture. There was never like a mainstream actor who played that kind of character. And that too in a big blockbuster film with so many stars in it. But it was this character like Pooh, which everyone was talking about. And I mean, 23 years later, we're still discussing it.
Right, yeah.
And it's more relevant today than I think even then.
What do you think?
I think it's just the way she is, the lingo, the language. But that also is in the writing. The way Karan wrote it.
Like Karan says that he got inspired by Alicia Silverstone in Clueless. Did you watch her?
I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah, you'd seen it.
Yeah, but like, I think he was more of an inspiration, Karan.
Yeah?
Because I think he knows that part the best. But I also enjoyed playing it. So when you enjoy and have fun doing that, somehow it just, comes to life. So I really enjoyed playing Pooh.
So then after Pooh, Kareena, you have this whole string of films which would be like, what are these movies? And some of them we've forgotten now.
Yeah.
And that's why we probably don't even mention them. But quite a few of them, like say, Mujhse Dosti Karoge, or a Yaadein, or a Main Prem Ki Deewani. These were debacles,
and they were debacles, but they were all with the biggest directors in the country.
So were you picking the director, obviously?
I mean, at that time, I was so young, how could you say no to a Suraj Bajatiya film also? A big...
Subhash Ghai film.
Yeah, I mean, they were all the biggest movies. And obviously wanting to be in them. But I mean, to me, like I said, like my filmography, everything, I wear my failures also as proudly as my successes. Because somehow those films flopped, but people always still gave me and loved me.
Right.
And believed in my talent. So somehow I hold those films as close to me.
Do you?
As
I
a
read in
blockbuster.
one of your interviews where you said something to the effect of how you regret your 20s altogether. Something to the effect of these are not.
Yeah, I mean, I regret.
I'm like you were childish.
I think so, no?
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, now when you look back, you're like, you had that zest or
What made
energy.
you think that about your 20s? Like, what is it that you were doing?
No, I think you're constantly just rushing and you want to just, I want to prove myself, I want to be the best. That energy, it's a different kind of energy. That now I'm like,
Chill.
yeah. Like I should just told her, like, just, chill out.
Yeah?
Take a breath. Then you're like, I don't know, it's like you make, say foolish things or you take foolish decisions. But that's also part of, the person I am today.
Like you are in your 20s and brash and you say things to people and that becomes a cat fight and it gets
Yeah,
written
that
about
people
in the
would obviously-
glossies and the magazines and stuff like that. There was a lot of that going on too, right?
90s was full of 90s started and then 2000s everyone was having a cat fight. Yeah. Kuch bhi bol do, a cat fight. But today, I mean, like, you don't even hear these things, know. And who knows, it might be happening or thought, but I don't know, I think things are a lot more different and more chilled out.
Right. But were they true though?
I mean, I don't know, maybe...
Like that Priyanka Chopra, Kareena Kapoor, cat
that
fight
was
in
not-
Antwerp,
No, not rubbish. Not at all. Not at all. I was like, what is going on? But I think maybe we all had that energy of, some sort of like thing where we were all wanting to just prove ourselves.
So competing fiercely.
Yeah, which...
I want that role.
Yeah.
Why is she getting that role?
Yeah, or I want to,
Yeah.
be the best. But that attitude, I don't think it lasted and it, you kind of learn through that.
Was there a turning point? Was there like a moment of epiphany, as it were?
I don't know. For me, I think it was just age. When as I, entered my 30s, I suddenly felt I was a lot more relaxed. Maybe I had found a relationship. So, you kind of balance your energies out. So I think that also helped. And after that, giving a string of successes and, a certain point, then you're like, okay.
हो गया ना मतलब prove कर लिया.
हाँ.
You have nothing else to prove.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
I think so, somehow.
Would you be less competitive now? Like if there's a great role, would you not tell your manager, your boss, just make sure I get that part?
No, I think now,
You would do that before, right?
maybe.
No, certainly.
But I was not fiercely ambitious, strangely.
Okay.
I've never been that fiercely ambitious girl. I've been ambitious. But I'm not, I don't know, it was a different ambition then. And now it's a completely different.
Zen. Yoga master.
Yoga master, no, because now I think differently. I think, now I have to think as a wife, as a mother. I have a lot of things that I weigh pros and cons with. Rather than just, a one-point focus.
Wife and mother se yaad aaya, and I've been always wanted to ask you this because that's the thing with a Kapoor surname, right? Everyone just keeps talking about Kapoor, Kapoor, Kapoor. But the fact is, your mother has been a very, very strong influence on your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's something about your mom, Babita. I mean, she raised you almost single-handedly.
Yeah,
She has a single parent almost, isn't it?
She is, my mom is like, I think I get my confidence and my independence from my mother. Watching her when I was a child, the way, she would do things for Karishma and me. She also actually kind of was such a backbone to Karishma's career. Taking her down south to D. Ramanaidu's studio, getting her that film, doing all of that. All of that happened in front of my eyes. So, I saw my mother in a different light. And she was actually the fire that is in me, I think comes from her. And she, till today, I think has that fire for her children. Like she's always like most excited about Jaane Jaan, or most excited like which film are you doing, what are you doing. She's
a tiger bomb.
Yeah, she's like she's that kind, Gambini kind of mom. She has that, and I don't know anything else. I know like she's she's like been like a lioness with her cubs, and that's the way we were brought up. My father is still very, very like open, cosmopolitan. And also have to give him credit that he has also encouraged a lot to me and with my sister.
But it was your mum who would take Karisma down south?
Yeah,
figure
it was
out
mum.
what her debut film should be.
It was
Prem
mum.
Kaidi,
Prem
right?
Kaidi.
Yeah, 1991.
Yeah, then
With Harish, I
Anadi.
remember Harish.
Then
Yeah.
Anadi.
Anadi, of course.
Yes.
Venki, who's back now, huh?
Yeah.
He's all over OTT with that
Yeah,
with
he's
Rama
done
Naidu,
something, Rama Naidu.
in that show, yeah.
So I think mum is, she has been like Saif says, y'all are the holy trinity. My mum, me and Karishma.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think that because, three women under one roof, you we can do anything. Women can do anything. And I think that's what she did. She took on the world. She pushed Karishma's career the way she did, the way she helped her, the way she supported me. And then, it was a changing time. She was someone who was always with Lolo because the 90s, you always saw the star mother.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the 2000s came and me being younger and a different generation, it was suddenly she had to take to the fact that I was much more independent. But that's how she raised me. It was no more the star mother. And she had to obviously be the mother, but she never came on the shoots. Or she never
So you didn't have that Bollywood mom the way Karisma did?
No, but that's because of her also. Because she allowed and she adapted to that. She adapted
Was it also
herself
the times,
each generation.
Kareena? In the 90s, of course, Karisma being the first person from the Kapoor family to enter films, that's a well-known fact. It wasn't considered safe or what?
I think it was just that maybe the people, the women who got married, I think, in the 60s, 70s in the Kapoor family, who never really worked in films. Maybe it was their choice also. I don't know.
Sure.
But my father kind of really, he was he's very cosmopolitan.
So it wasn't a bone of contention between your mom and your dad that Karisma would work in the movies?
He was always like, I don't know. I can't, obviously do anything. She has to find her own debut, find her own way. And, figure it out herself if that's what she wants. And she did exactly.
And your mom said, okay, I'm going to figure it out.
Exactly.
Because she would have been, 15, 16? So
She started
young,
at a
right?
very young age, 15. And I think with me, it was a different generation. The 90s were completely
It changed. The world changed.
The world
There must be a reason.
Cinema
why.
changed.
Yeah.
The kind of films that were being made changed in 2000.
Yeah.
90s was a really...
Crappy times, kya?
I don't know. But still, Lolo, some of her films are pretty iconic.
Sure, yeah. And
The
a whole lot of David
songs
Dhawan
and-
movies,
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
watches
yeah.
them even now.
The songs. Every party's still playing that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, but I'm just saying, in a larger sense, why is it that women cannot work back then? Because maybe it's not a great place for women to work. It can't be a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
That all the producers and the stars are sending their male kids, but not their female kids. Of course, everything changed later in the 90s, but clearly something was going on. Something was up.
I think the women in the Kapoor family chose not to work. That's what I feel. And then obviously it was kind of like they don't work. Or maybe at that time it was like, I don't know, somebody said don't do it, or I don't know. If you come from that background, maybe you, I don't know, won't be successful, or I don't know. There were a lot of things. A lot of people said light-eyed actresses won't make it. So I don't know if that's true or not. But obviously look at Karishma. And so many others after that. I don't know, maybe why people were not working, but I feel like a lot of my mum-in-law worked throughout. She worked after her marriage as well. After Saif was born as well. And she's been such an inspirational, such a tigress who completely led the way for, I think, all the actresses then. Everyone. She was a game changer of sorts in the 60s. So I guess it was also quite a personal decision, maybe, that our parents took, or my mother took.
So it wasn't a big deal when Karisma, Lolo, is she really called Lolo because of Lola Brigida?
Yeah.
Gina Lola Brigida?
Gina,
Really?
yeah, my mom was reading that, yeah.
Did you get your name from Anna Karenina, the book?
That's what my mom tells me, but Bebo, I don't know from where that is.
Okay. But did you read Anna Karenina? Because that's directly from...
No, I haven't read it. Have you seen the size of the book?
Yeah.
Have you? I have it at home because you know who's reading it. But, who probably has read it. But, no.
Should do a series on it.
Definitely. But, that size of book, I think, no. Baal safed ho jayenge.
So you are the non-reader and Saif is the big reader.
I am. It's not about reader, but it's like,
Look at the size of the book.
And read,
talk.
yeah. But I love.
You've written 2-3 books yourself.
I love Joe Nesbo. I love, the detective crime kind of, Scandi kind of writing.
Fiction.
And, I love all of that.
Yeah.
But like Seth's different, he reads different kind of stories. He's an art history student, so he likes reading stuff about that. I mean, it's fine, but I think I just give the vibe and personality that I'm not a reader.
Which is not true.
I mean, which is not true because now I think like on a day off, sometimes I do pick up a book in the afternoon and I do like to spend my time reading.
You also think when you give off a vibe that you do, which is like, I'm Pooh and whatever, when you actually appear in a film, I distinctly remember, I think it's 2004 when you did Dave.
Yeah.
And I was awestruck by you in that movie because I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And when you have too strong a personality, कि मुझे सब कुछ आता है or I'm a dude, it's very hard to get into another person's character. Do you think that could be the case?
I think the way people perceive you because of your characters, like because of Pooh or Geet, they think and believe that that's her. But if you've noticed, and I'm happy that you brought up Dave, because I have done films early on also in my career. Dev, Chameli, Omkara, Yuva, which have been character-driven. But they never really get their due because these larger-than-life characters, because that's the way the audience also wants to see you and enjoy you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, she looks...
And even if Kambaknish doesn't do well, or if, I don't know whether they did, but more people have seen it than they've probably seen a Dev.
A Dev.
Right.
And because they enjoy seeing me in those roles probably, or they perceive, there's just this, So I've constantly tried to break that, but with doing these periodic films and choosing, like Chameli very early on, I was 22 when I did it. I mean, that's been a conscious effort.
Right. And also with the changing times in cinema, right? I mean, those things were not happening in 1991, or they were considered art house. They probably didn't even get a release.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think when I did Chameli in 2000s, it was, nobody was making that kind of a story, or a mainstream actor wasn't playing those parts.
But would you walk into something like this thinking of it as a challenge, or after all, you are an actor and you'll do the same way what you do in other films? How does it work?
No, as in will I continue to, or...
Like, will you just be who you were in the previous film? After all, it's just a character. And because you are an instinctive actor, right?
Yeah.
You're not someone who prepares for months or did you?
No, not for months.
Yeah.
I think I'm a prepared actor, but I'm not overtly prepared. I like to leave something to set. I like to leave something to the director, to my co-stars, some sort of energy, because it's a collective energy also that makes a scene and makes a film. So we have to leave that room. We can't come with अब मैंने तो set कर दिया है.
Will you prepare your lines and all those
things? Yeah,
of
course.
Before, right?
No, of course. I think the best thing an actor can do is learn his lines, know his lines backwards. Because then you get room to play around
other things
and concentrate on other emotions rather than, okay, what's my next line? So I'm very conscious of that.
Right. And it doesn't matter to you when you're doing those films whether those films will be box office successes or not.
No, I've never been that.
Really?
I mean, I've done films, of course.
You've done films for the money, obviously you have.
Yeah, of course. But I'm not it didn't matter to me whether Dev was going to become K3G.
Yeah.
Because they're different realms altogether of cinema. But I've always been ready to, delve in that and, experiment in that and do it.
How important was money for you while you were growing up?
I mean, actually, I don't really remember that whether it was important. It was a little bit to always get nice clothes because I wasn't working and my mom kept telling me that till you don't get yourself a job, you're not going to be buying clothes all the time and doing what you want, and prepare yourself if you want to be an actor. Take on the challenge. When you become an actor, then you have your money. She's always told me that. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. You cannot rely on your parents.
Even when you're in your teens?
Absolutely.
Early teens.
It was just the bare necessities, basics. And I mean, that's the way mom was. My mom came from a very humble background. My nana was a character actor.
Right. Hari
Shadasani. Yeah. And my granny was, she was English. So she never really, knew anything, or she came to India and got married and, never really did a job so much.
Like if she was traveling in India and she met your father?
Yeah, I think so. I think she kind of or they kind of were on a tour and it kind of happened. And something, I think now back in the 40s. I don't really know.
We're doing long throwback right now. It's okay.
Yeah.
We can go back.
But I mean, yeah, that's the way it was. So mum was very humble. And my mum always, I mean, till today she keeps us in check. She is the one thing that we're still like, okay, you know, she can have that right to, you know, tell me still what to do and what not to. She's like,
Not
this is wrong.
splurge or something.
Yeah, she's always like,
Be conservative.
Yeah.
With your money.
definitely.
I mean, you know, like for instance, your father, who, by the way, is one of my favorite Kapoors as well. I think
Yeah, he's such a
phenomenal
fun-
actor,
yeah.
phenomenal. I also feel the most underrated Kapoor. in his own way. By the way, do you have a favorite Ranbir Kapoor movie? Because mine is BVO BV.
BVO BV.
It's
I was just-
hilarious.
Chacha Bhatija.
Yeah, Chacha Bhatija too.
Yeah, I think these two were also
Fabulous.
somewhere like cult classic kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah, absolutely. So, you know, he was a huge star in the 70s, right? Had a beautiful run. Movies that we, you know, when I was growing up, I would watch them on VHS. So
VHS.
clearly they survived
Yeah.
public memory. In the 80s, he had a downfall of some
Yeah,
sort,
yeah.
right? So did that affect you as a family?
So I was too young, obviously. But yeah, I think then he didn't work as such, you know. And maybe that's why my mum had to kind of like take on stuff and, you know, like figure out odds and ends and, you know, to bring up the girls and whatever. Till Karishma came into the movies. So I think, I mean, he did, then he, you know, helped. He directed 2-3 films.
Hina he
then
directed,
Hina,
which is a classic even now.
which is a classic. So he also kind of had a sporadic kind of career. I think he was he loved life and living life a lot more maybe than, because and a lot of that is my personality, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because we have that zest for life. Like he's funny, he's warm, he's social, he likes meeting people, his close friends. Like he has hundreds of friends and not one person will ever have anything wrong to say about my father. Because that's just his nature. He's such a loved person. So I think he gave more time to all of that side of life.
A party person?
Focus. I think so.
A social person.
Social person.
And that's what you are as well?
With my friends, very.
Yeah.
Like I like having entertaining at home, having people over, but my circle, my friends, my family.
You got your tribe.
Yeah, I'm not into like.
You're not going clubbing or something?
No.
You were never clubbing?
No, I'm not into parties
At all? You're a teetotaler, no?
I mean, kind of. I mean, I'm not like I do love wine, but
Yeah.
I'm not into.
Like Radhar party?
No.
Yeah, no shots.
No way. I'm too like I'm a mother of two.
Were you
and I
ever?
need to wake
Were you
up in the
ever a party
morning.
person? I guess you're working too hard in your 20s to be a party person, I'm presuming.
We never lived that side of life, na? In our 20s. We were never going to any of these nightclubs, never invited to parties, what the normal 18, 20-year-olds were doing. I mean, we were in Mehboob studio doing that, but that's what we chose to do. That's what I wanted to do. So no regrets as such, because that's not... But I love like, you know, eating a meal with my friends, sitting with my family and chatting, making plans. These are things that excite me. Rather than, I mean, you know, going to a party or a film party and doing shots. I think it's only in the songs that you see, na?
I know, right? Like your public image, or at least your screen image, would be rather different from how you are as a person.
I'm a
right?
homebody.
Homebody who's vegetarian also.
I mean, I'm a morning person. I'm a morning person. Like now I look forward to... I'm an early riser.
Okay, what time?
I think because everybody's up 7:38. I mean, I start my...
So by 11 you're gone?
Yeah, half my day is gone. I'm like, you know, what's
No,
going
as in
on?
by 11 at night you're passed out.
9:30.
9:30 you passed out?
Yeah, now it's like when the kids are sleeping,
Yeah.
I think even Saif and me both. 11 is a late night. I mean, like, I'm telling you, it is. And I am loving that side.
But that was always you, or just became over time?
Of course, I've also had like, okay, chalo, theek hai, ke late nights and hanging with friends and stuff. But I've never really been this 3-4 in the morning and all of that. I just can't. That's why I'm not at all these parties. I run away. Every given point, I want to run away. Travel. That excites me.
Right. You know what I've been meaning to say this to you over time, and it's, obviously there are generations that change and newer actors, and a whole new movie industry happens every 10 odd years, right?
Yeah.
And that's the nature of every profession. The person who reminds me of you the most, and it's very obvious, is Alia Bhatt. Right? And so many things common. I just realized one more thing common. I mean, her grandmom is British as well. I think British of German origin.
I think so, yeah.
So is your grandmom,
Yeah.
your mum's mum. She met her life partner on a movie, but she had known him over years, which is roughly what happened with you and Saif. I mean, you and Saif had worked together, right, before?
We did LOC together, small role.
Okay, yeah.
In LOC.
Omkara, were you not ever on the screen together?
Omkara, we had 1 or 2 scenes.
Right.
Yeah.
So you obviously knew him.
No, of course. My sister had worked with him.
Right.
Hum Saath Saath Hai.
Yeah.
Dil Lagi Mein Lolo comes in the end and goes with Saif.
Huh.
So, I mean, we all knew each other.
Yeah. So it's just like something...
Yeah, of course.
Something happened, like a switch went off. In a good way.
Yeah.
As with Alia. Right?
Alia.
And I think she constantly talks about it, does she or not, in interviews or not, but she certainly thinks of you as her idol.
Yeah.
She's kind of modeled herself on you.
I mean, I think that she's truly, truly gifted. She's such a spectacular actor. And her choices also, she also does like these commercial big ones. Then, she'll also do like Darlings. So she likes to do this, which is great.
Which is roughly how your career went at another time.
So she...
Do you remember her from when she was growing up? Now, of course, she's a relative.
Yeah.
She's in your family.
As a child, I never met her.
Okay.
I mean, like I didn't know her as much. But of course now she's of course a relative and in the family. But I think I myself, now I'm a huge admirer of her choices especially. Because I think that is what makes an actor, no? People say that, yeah, of course, when you're on the screen and your performances. But I think it's the choices that define.
Like also the trajectory, right? You in a Karan Johar movie, in a K3G Pooh.
Yeah.
She's in the Student of the Year, directed by Karan Johar. It's literally like, I mean, you're the blueprint that she's following.
No.
Have you ever had the conversation with her? Has she ever told you this?
No, I know that she adores me and she loves me, and it's a very mutual thing because I truly think she's, the best in this generation. And I mean, but like we keep saying, I mean, when I met her recently, that we should definitely do
something together.
Because let's see how that energy kind of bounces off. And I know because our picture went viral and everyone started messaging Karan Johar. He's like, why is everyone messaging me? I said, no, the onus is on you now. We've just thrown it to him.
Right, and then Karan Johar will get trolled for being a nepotist.
Oh God, now we're hardly nepotistic, yaar. We've worked for 23 years. Isme nepotism ki kya baat hai? We've had our fair share of complete disasters.
Right, I mean, that's the part that you think people don't realize, but how the struggles are the same, and of course, success is not in your hands anyway.
Exactly. I mean, I think that our debacles have proved that. But you have to constantly keep coming back, trying to do something different. And if that wouldn't be the case, then we wouldn't be at this interview today. It's also because of some choices that I have made, some films that I've dared to do. I don't know. I mean, you can't say it's just happened, no? I mean,
but is there also a natural advantage, Kareena, because you've grown up on a movie set?
Yeah.
And then the first time you face the camera, which will be refugee, you know way more than someone who is, watching it from a distance and it'll be
absolutely.
The first time. That's a natural advantage, right? Yeah.
That 110%, I will always say that advantage is definitely there. I mean, especially someone like me, who has been on sets of Karishma and seen, is definitely very, very lucky in that sense than someone coming, from out of town and trying to. But maybe that's like 1% of the advantage. I might have been there to see what's happening on the set, but I've not faced the camera. No, the camera is not switched on.
Yeah.
I've not
and people haven't
shown
seen
my talent. I haven't done what I have. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that you can't take away from someone. And that everybody, I mean, it's anyone who can have it. It's an X factor that is, there's so many people who've not come. Look at Shah Rukh. I mean, everyone, it's an X factor, yeah. You either have it.
I mean, you have your next generation already lined up. There's Taimur, who is probably India's biggest celebrity before facing. He's faced more cameras than most people in the world have.
Unwanted
right?
cameras.
Well, whatever, but it's incredible. I'm so keen to know how he grows up, because this is a case study of a baby who became a star from day one.
Why?
I couldn't have asked for it, obviously.
But why? What reason? There's no reason. And I think that, I mean, he knows, he's growing up knowing that, I mean, your parents are stars. But he's like, he wants to lead a normal life. And that's what we're giving him. I mean, if you want to photograph him, But
what does he think of the whole thing? I mean, there was a column coming out in a newspaper under his name. He had a column when he was, what, 2 or 1?
That he doesn't know.
Yeah, that he doesn't know yet. Have you kept it, though? It'd be lovely to show him later.
I mean, he's going to figure it out. If he ever Googles himself. But I want him to just... He's honestly very unaffected.
Is he?
Yeah. He has a nonchalant...
He just thinks that that's what it is. I mean, it's not a big deal.
He knows that my parents are famous, so they're clicking me. But he's like, why are they clicking me? So he's just wanting to, like, do his thing. That's why I'm like, okay, lena hai to lo. But let him be, na? Le liya aapne, to that's it. Now let him be, let him grow up how he wants. And he's understood. He's a smart boy. So he kind of...
He can remain unaffected by all this.
Yes, I think he is. He has that knack.
Which is very different from when you were growing up. You also had famous parents.
But we never had the
nothing
paparazzi.
Of the sort, right? Zero paparazzi.
No, we didn't even... It was like a treat to go to a movie
So when you went to a school, say Jamnabai, or when you went to Willems, they all knew who you were in terms of your parents.
In terms of, like, my parents, my sister.
Yeah.
But there was no social media.
So it's just among friends. I mean, that's what it is. Then,
Yeah. There was no Instagram.
But if you try hard enough, is it possible to escape this? For instance, nobody knows what Rani Mukherjee's kid looks like. Are they trying really hard? Do you have to do too much? Is that what it is? What do you think she does that we don't know what the kid is?
No, I think each parent can choose the way what they want for their child. And I think that for me, it was just like, if he's coming out with me, you're going to click him. So, just...
Is that something that's bothered you too,
I didn't want to cover his face.
But personally for you,
like,
you've always been a movie star, right? I mean, for 23 years now. And the culture has just grown to a point where it's impossible to escape people clicking selfies all the time.
No, I just thought that if I would...
bother you?
I would cover his face. I just thought it would scar him.
Yeah.
He'd be like, why are you doing that? So I just didn't want him to grow up like, being... I mean, that could have an adverse effect as well, which I didn't want.
Right.
And that's the reason I'm like, okay, fine, it's okay if that's what you want to click him. If you're a public figure, in today's day and age, when you go out, like you said, everyone is kind of mauling you or wanting a piece of you, which was not there earlier.
So it gets to you?
I think it's tough to balance everything out. Like not being affected, not kind of being tired or not kind of... I mean, everything is being scrutinized. Everything is being watched. And I don't think any actor, for that matter, ever wants to come across as, like bad or in any which way. But you are under the spotlight. Out of 24 hours, you are under the spotlight 36 hours. So it's got to be tough.
Before I go, there's no way in hell I'm not going to ask you this one thing that everyone want to know. So far as films are concerned, I want to come back to your movies. It's been a long career, Kareena, and you know what? It's been long enough for you to actually put together what would be your retrospective, right? I mean, from 23. Yeah, 20 plus years is not too many. There aren't that many people
at least
who survived.
another 23, no?
But if you, okay, fine. Of course you'll have 23 more. But if you were to have a retrospective of your works right now, I'm guessing the opening film will be.
Are you answering that or am I?
What do you think it'll be?
Oh God.
Jab We Met.
No.
So there's and Omkara. Jab We Met. I mean, I'd go with Jab We Met. I might actually go with Dev.
Yeah.
Because it's so different from everything that you've done in your career. But you know what? I cannot leave you without a conversation on Jab We Met. And I had Shahid Kapoor on this show. And he had an amazing story to tell, which is the first time that Imtiaz went to him with a script. To narrate to him, he saw the script, it said Geet written on it.
Yeah, that was the title of the film.
And that was the original title of the film. Shahid told him, the next time you go to a movie star, make sure you don't write the name of the female protagonist on the script. That movie just happened to you, or is that something that you manifested in the way that you did Buckingham Murders, or is it something that you had no clue would turn out to be what it did? What is the story behind you doing that film? Because it's the most iconic film that you've done so far in your career in terms of like something that survives as a whole, not just a character.
It's relevant, like you said,
in
every generation.
Yeah.
Kind of changed the way female characters also were written. Because you've never seen that kind of a,
And you're not that Punjabi girl.
No, vociferous kind of.
Yeah, you're not a Delhi girl or whatever it is.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
But people believed that. And I mean, there's always a little bit of me in all my characters. But yeah, I mean, I didn't even manifest it. I was actually without work. I hadn't worked in a year and a half because I was saying no to films because I was not getting the kind of film that I wanted.
Okay.
So I was saying no to big films.
Like which ones did you say no to?
I said no to a few. It's so unfair.
You said no to quite a few films, huh?
Yeah.
Queen, I hear you said no to.
That was
This is much later, of course.
Much later.
Yeah.
But this was, I was genuinely not wanting to do any films because I was like, the films weren't working. So I want to take a sabbatical for a year and a half.
Okay.
And I don't know, I think Imtiaz called up Shahid and the film and he narrated it. And we didn't even know Imtiaz because Imtiaz had just made Socha Na Tha.
Right.
And I hadn't seen the film. And Shahid, I think, had seen the film. So he just came out of the blue. And it just like so happened, he approached Shahid and then Shahid told me that, listen, he's going to approach you for this role and it's great and whatever. And I never even thought. I was like, yeah, I'll do this movie. I never knew that it would be this iconic kind of whatever movie. I just thought, Punjabi girl, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. And I think Imtiaz always looked at me for that you're not understanding what this character is. You don't know what you're doing. And I was very like, then I signed the Yashraj film with Tashan. And I got into this whole thing that, I need to get like a six-pack, I need to get ripped because that's what it is. That's what it takes, to be like the best. And I got
You're doing
crazy.
a Jawan. You're doing a Jawan in yourself.
I was like, I have to do it. I have to do it. And I went crazy and I was like working out and I did this and I was like, what is this? Geet, why? Because I'm doing Tashan.
Yeah.
I'm going to come with my six-pack in high speed and it's going to just...
Size zero.
blow the world. And that, of course, which it did. But it wasn't that movie. It was this. So throughout, while shooting Jab We Met, all I did was talk about Tashan. So Imtiaz must have really thought that, I don't know what, she has no idea. And the best part was, I think that's what worked. That I actually had no idea. And I was just, following Imtiaz's instructions. I was playing the part. And there was some magic that was being created on the side. While the size zero body was being made.
So you shooting it simultaneously?
Yeah, completely.
Wow.
I was training for Tashan and shooting for Jab We Met.
Right.
So I was in the process of getting into size zero. And that happened. So Jab We Met happened and then, I was shooting Tashan.
The rest is history, as they say.
And the rest is history, as they say. Then there was size zero.
Kareena, I'm pretty sure this is not the end of anything. And everything that you do from here on would be history, hopefully. And Jaane Jaan, congratulations on the film. I forgot to mention that song is from Jawani Diwani, which is your father's film. Was that a coincidence when you came up with the title?
No, I don't think so. It wasn't thought. I think, you've seen the film. They sang the song in the karaoke.
You sang the song too?
In the film.
In the film.
So it was just because of that it...
And the last time I think you sang was in Dev. We're talking about Dev again and again because
it's one of your favorites.
It is one of my favorites, and I also think that people haven't seen that film enough. Or not enough people have seen it because, it was like 15 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and it wasn't a wide release. But of course, we're going to watch Jaane Jaan. But all those who are watching that should also look up Dev. And thank you, Kareena, for everything. Thank you for this amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.